Our guest, Frank Gaffney, he's been a friend of the Economic War Room from the very beginning. He's the founder and the chairman of the Center for Security Policy. He was in the Reagan Department of Defense, and he's been a senior leader of amazing coalitions, like the Committee on the Present Danger of China and like the Sovereignty Coalition. Welcome, Frank, back to the Economic War Room.
It's great to be back as always, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Frank, we've been talking about the financialization of nature. We've been talking about the taking of private property rights. You helped me understand this with a brilliant webinar done by the Sovereignty Coalition. Tell me, what is the problem? What brought it to your attention?
Well, it actually is one of our Committee on the Present Danger of China webinars. You can find it at thesovereigntycoalition.org, though, as well, Kevin. And what brought it to my attention was, frankly, a brilliant guy who participated in the program by the name of Dr. James Lindsay. I'm sure you know him. Sent me a couple of tweets that he had put out, I think Christmas Eve, if I'm not mistaken, and my head exploded. And, I'm ashamed to say that I didn't know anything about it prior to that time, because it's been brooded a bit, but not much, since I think the 4th of October, when the Securities and Exchange Commission, an outfit you know well, announced that they were going to do a very truncated public comment on a proposed rule that the New York Stock Exchange and something called the Intrinsic Exchange Group had come up with for a whole new class of companies. They're calling them natural asset companies. And the Economic War Room being your portfolio, not mine, I know you know a lot more about the nature of this. But Kevin, it's my understanding that typically when the SEC puts forward a rule, you get 60 days, maybe 90 days to comment on it. And I think this was evidence of their hope that they could just kind of blow this thing through, get a decision on this rule by the SEC, maybe by mid-November, and the rest of us not being the wiser until all of a sudden public lands and waters and air, and that means not just federal, but state and local, perhaps, but also private property. And you're absolutely right about the, foundational importance of that concept of private property. It could be also subject to management arrangements under the purview of these so-called natural asset companies, to the detriment of using such resources for anything useful, whether that might be farming, whether that might be, mining or oil and gas exploitation or timber, or perhaps even just hunting on the property. If it doesn't qualify in the terms of these natural asset companies as renewable or consistent with their global climate change mitigation responsibilities, it will be prohibited.
Yep.
That's the thing that's very worrying in terms of, again, property rights, national and personal.